My name is Anna. I want to tell you my story. It is a story about love, mistakes, and hope. I grew up in a small riverside town called Riverbend. It was a quiet place, with trees, small houses, and one school. My house was near the river. It was always quiet there, just like me. I was a shy child. I didn't talk much. I didn't laugh a lot. I didn't play with other children. My parents were very strict. My father was a school teacher, and my mother stayed at home. They didn't like noise. They didn't like games. They said, "You must study." No friends, no play, no fun. I wanted to go outside. I wanted to run and laugh and play. But my parents said, "Stay in your room. Read your books." I didn't go to preschool. When I started school at age 6, I was very scared. So many kids. So much noise. I didn't know how to talk to them. I sat alone. I ate my lunch alone. I looked at the other kids and wished to play with them. One girl, Emma, came to me. She said, "Hi, do you want to play?" I didn't speak. I just nodded. She smiled. From that day, we became friends. I didn't talk much, but Emma stayed with me. She was kind and funny. At school, I liked drawing. I loved colors and shapes. But when I told my parents, they said, "Drawing is useless. Focus on math and reading." So I drew in secret, on small papers, late at night. When I was 16, I started to feel a little free. I went to a small art club after school. I told my parents I had extra homework. At the club, I met a boy named Leo. He was 17. He had brown eyes and a big smile. He said, "You draw so well." I blushed. No one ever said that before. Leo and I started to talk more. We laughed. He made me feel special. He said, "You are so smart. You are beautiful." My heart felt warm. I never felt that before. Soon we were together all the time. He waited for me after school. We walked in the park. We talked about dreams. I told him, "I want to go to art school." He said, "You don't need school. We can be together. We can be happy without it." I didn't know what to do. I loved drawing. I wanted to study. But I also loved Leo. I was only 17. I thought, love is more important than school. Leo said, "Let's get married after high school." I said yes. My parents were not happy. They said, "You are too young." But I didn't listen. I thought, Leo will take care of me. I will be safe. We got married after I turned 18. We moved to a small flat in a nearby town called Willow Bay. At first, everything was nice. Leo worked at a garage. I stayed home. I cooked, I cleaned. I waited for him to come home. After 1 year, we had a baby girl. Her name is Ella. She was so small, with soft black hair and big eyes. I loved her from the first moment I saw her. But after Ella was born, Leo started to change. He said, "You don't need to dress like that." He didn't like my clothes. He didn't like my haircut. He said, "Grow your hair. Stop looking like a child." I felt confused. I thought he loved me, but now he wanted me to change. He also didn't like me meeting my old friends. He said, "They don't understand you. You have a family now. Stay home." I listened. I stayed home. Then he started coming home late. He said, "I was with my friends." But I didn't know which friends. I felt lonely. I wanted to talk, but he didn't listen. One night, he came home angry. He shouted, "You never do anything right." I cried. I didn't know what I did wrong. One day, he pushed me during an argument. I fell. I was not hurt badly, but I was shocked. I didn't believe it. Leo said sorry later. He bought flowers. He said, "It won't happen again." I believed him. I went to visit my parents. I told my mother, "Leo hit me." She looked away. My father said, "You are married. Go back to your husband." I felt cold inside. I was hoping for help, but they didn't give it. I went back to Leo. I told myself, things will get better. I wanted to believe it. Soon after, I found out I was pregnant again. I was scared. I was happy too. I thought maybe this baby would bring joy back into our home. When I told Leo, he said nothing. He looked away. 9 months later, I had a son. His name is Luca. He had my eyes. He smiled so much. I loved him deeply. But Leo didn't even come to the hospital. When I came home, he said, "You're back early." I felt pain in my heart. I asked myself, why is he like this now? Later, I found out he had another woman. He didn't hide it. He said, "She understands me better." My heart broke into many pieces. I wanted to leave, but I had no money, no job, 2 small children, no support from my parents. One day, Leo said he was joining the Navy. He said, "I will send money. You can take care of things." And he left. He didn't send much money. Some weeks, nothing came. I started to work part-time cleaning houses in the town. It was hard, but I had to do something. During this time, my father passed away. My mother moved to live with my brother in another city. I was alone. Leo called from the Navy after 3 months. He said, "I found someone else. I'm happier now." I cried for hours. But then, 3 months later, he called again. "I made a mistake," he said. "Please take me back." I still loved him. I remembered the good days. So I said, "Okay." He came back. We tried again, but he didn't change. He still used harsh words. He still controlled me. he still made me feel small. Now we had been married for 8 years. I was 26. I often looked in the mirror and asked, "Who am I now?" But I didn't have the answer. Before I share the rest of my story, I want to ask you something. Where are you listening from? It gives me strength to know someone is hearing my words, someone who understands. Please tell me in the comments. I would really love to know. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. I was still with Leo, but I felt empty inside. I woke up early every day. I cooked breakfast. I cleaned the house. I looked after Ella and Luca, but I didn't smile much. I felt tired. I felt sad. My heart was heavy. Ella was 5 years old now. She liked to sing and draw. She always brought me her little pictures. "Look, Mama," she said. "It's us. Happy." I smiled and kissed her head, but inside I felt broken. Luca was 2. He liked to run around the house and play with his toy cars. He had a loud laugh. His laugh made me feel better, even on the hardest days. One morning, I was washing dishes when someone knocked on the door. I opened it slowly. It was a woman I had seen a few times in the building. She smiled and said, "Hi, I'm Sarah, your neighbor. I made some tea. Would you like to come over?" I looked at the floor. I felt scared. What if Leo finds out? What if he gets angry? But I also felt lonely. I needed someone to talk to. So I said, "Okay, just for a little while." At Sarah's home, I sat quietly at the kitchen table. She poured tea and said, "You look tired. Are you okay?" I didn't speak at first, but her eyes were kind. Slowly, I said, "Life is hard." Sarah nodded. She said, "You're not alone. I'm here. If you ever need help, you can come to me." Her words made me cry. I hadn't cried in front of anyone for years. She gave me a tissue. "It's okay," she said. "Let it out." From that day, I started visiting Sarah once a week. We drank tea and talked. She told me about her children, her work, her past. I told her about Leo, about the pain, about my dreams from long ago. One day, Sarah said, "You love baking, right? Why not try making cakes and selling them from home?" I looked at her in surprise. "Do you think I can?" She smiled. "Yes, I do. Start small. Just try." That night, I sat at the kitchen table and thought. I used to bake when I was younger. I liked the smell of warm bread and sweet cake. But Leo never cared. He said, "That's just a hobby." But now, I wanted to try. The next day, I baked a small chocolate cake. Ella helped me stir the batter. "It smells so good, Mama," she said. We laughed together. I gave a slice to Sarah. She said, "It's perfect. You should sell this." She shared a photo of the cake in a local online group. To my surprise, one woman sent a message. Can I order one for my son's birthday? My hands shook as I wrote back, yes. That night, I baked with care. I made the cake with love. When the woman picked it up, she smiled. Thank you. It looks amazing. I felt proud. It was the first time in many years I felt good about myself. More orders came. Slowly. Not too many, but enough. I started saving a little money. I used the money to buy more baking tools, better ingredients, and sometimes even a small toy for Ella or Luca. Leo noticed. One evening, he came home early and saw me decorating a cake. He frowned. Why are you baking so much? I said, I'm working. I sell these cakes. He raised his voice. You don't need to work. I take care of this house. I looked at him. My voice was soft, but firm. I need to do this. For me. For the kids. I won't stop. He stared at me in silence. Then he left the room. He didn't talk to me for 2 days. I was scared, but also proud. I didn't cry. I didn't stop. From that moment, something changed in me. I began to set small rules. I said, I will not allow you to shout at me in front of the kids. I said, if you hit me again, I will leave. I mean it. Leo laughed at first. Where will you go? He said. You have nothing. But I stayed strong. Maybe I don't have much, I said. But I have courage now. He looked surprised. He didn't believe me. But I meant every word. I started to dress the way I liked again. I cut my hair short. I wore a red shirt I loved. Leo said, You look strange. Ella looked at me and said, Mama, you look happy. I smiled. Her words gave me power. Sarah invited me to meet her friends. At first, I was nervous, but the women were kind. They didn't ask too many questions. They made me laugh. One of them said, You are very strong, Anna. I wanted to cry again, but this time the tears were happy. I kept baking. I made birthday cakes, cupcakes, and even wedding cakes. Some weeks were hard. Sometimes orders were low. Sometimes Leo still shouted. But I had found something important. Myself. Every morning, I woke up early. I looked at my children and said, You are my reason to stay strong. I packed Ella's lunch for school. I played with Luca. I cleaned. I baked. I planned. Some days I was tired. Some days I was sad. But I was no longer silent. I no longer felt invisible. One afternoon, while cleaning a drawer, I found an old sketchbook from school. My drawings were still there. Small birds, trees, faces, dreams. I smiled. I picked up a pencil and began to draw again. That night, I sat with Ella and Luca. Ella drew flowers. Luca scribbled with crayons. I felt peace in that moment. Leo still lived in the same house. He was still sometimes angry, But I had changed. I was not the scared girl I used to be. One night I told him, "I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to respect me." He didn't answer, but he didn't shout either. I was learning to live my life, not for him, but for me and my children. And for the first time in many years, I believed maybe things could get better. It was a sunny morning in Riverbend. Birds were singing outside my window. Ella was getting ready for school, and Luca was playing with his cars on the floor. I stood in the kitchen, holding a cup of tea, watching the light come in. I felt different these days. Stronger, braver. Not because everything was perfect, but because I was no longer afraid. I looked at my children and whispered to myself, "You are the reason I keep going." That morning, Ella hugged me before school. "Mama," she said, "when I grow up, I want to be like you. You make people happy with your cakes. You are strong." Her words touched my heart. I smiled and kissed her forehead. "You can be anything you want, my love." After she left, I sat with Luca and played for a while. His laugh filled the room. Then I started baking. I had 3 cake orders that day. Life was busy now, but I liked it. Later in the afternoon, Sarah came by. She brought flowers from her garden. "Just for you," she said with a smile. "You look happy these days." "I'm trying," I said. "Some days are still hard, but I feel more like myself now." Sarah nodded. "You are doing amazing. And remember, you are never alone." Her words stayed with me all evening. That night, Leo came home late. He didn't say hello. He just sat in the living room and turned on the TV. I asked him, "Did you eat?" He didn't answer. I felt a little sad, but not broken. After the kids went to sleep, I sat down near him. "Leo," I said, "we need to talk." He looked at me, surprised. "I don't want to fight," I said, "but I want peace. If you want to stay in this house, things must change. You can't hurt me with your words anymore. You must respect me." He didn't speak for a minute. Then he said, "You've changed." "Yes," I said. "I had to. I was tired of being small. I was tired of crying." He looked down. He didn't say sorry, but he didn't get angry either. I stood up and said, "I hope you will change too. For yourself. And for the kids." Then I walked away. That night, I didn't cry. The next day, I opened a notebook. I wrote down a list. At the top, I wrote, "My dreams. 1. Make my own cake shop. 2. Save money for Ella and Luca's school. 3. Go to art class again. 4. Feel happy and free." It was a small list, but it was mine. Weeks passed. Leo was still quiet. Sometimes he helped with the kids. Sometimes he didn't. But he didn't shout anymore. He saw I was serious. He saw I was different. One day, I saw a flyer near the bakery. It said, "Small business help. Free classes at the library." I took a photo and showed it to Sarah, as she said, "You should go." I was nervous. "But I don't know much about business." "You know cakes. That's enough to start," she said. So, every Thursday, I went to the library. I learned how to price my cakes, how to use social media, how to plan my money. I met other women like me, mothers, dreamers, hard workers. I started saving more money. I made a logo for my baking. I called it Anna's Sweet Table. I wrote the name in pink and blue on little boxes. I felt proud every time I packed an order. One evening, I sat on the balcony and watched the river. The water moved slowly. I took a deep breath. For the first time in many years, I felt peace in my heart. Ella came out and sat beside me. She looked at the sky and said, "Mama, do you think dreams come true?" I looked at her small face, her soft eyes. I said, "Yes, but sometimes we have to fight for them. And sometimes they come in a different way than we thought." She leaned on my shoulder. "I hope you get your dream, Mama." "I hope you do too," I whispered. That night, I wrote a letter to myself. "Dear Anna, you were scared. You were tired. But you didn't give up. You are learning, growing, and healing. Keep going. One day, you will be free." I put the letter in a drawer. I didn't know what the future would bring. I didn't know if Leo would ever become the man I once loved. But I knew one thing. I would never go back to the girl who was afraid to speak. I had my children. I had my strength. I had my small kitchen, my cakes, my colors, and my dreams. And that was enough. For now. If you are reading my story, I want you to remember one thing. You are strong. You can survive hard times. Even in the darkest days, you can find a small light. Don't give up on yourself. You are not alone. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon.